Welcome back to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Today I will be previewing the Grade 3 Chilukki Stakes this Saturday, November 18th at Churchill Downs. We have 9 older fillies and mares going a mile on the dirt track. Starting off with the number 1, we have Nostalgic for Bill Mott. She is a 4-year-old filly who has been lightly raced this year. She's raced 3 times. She's won 1 of those, and that was at Saratoga this summer. That was an optional claimer race, but her last attempt was in the Feldman at Aqueduct last month, where she finished 3rd behind Randomize and Amore, who were both entered into the Breeders' Cup Distaff. She's been at Churchill Downs for a couple weeks now, where I'm guessing she's going to stay for a while. Looking at her workouts, though, there's not really a whole lot that I like. Plus, every time she gets thrown into these grade stakes, she really doesn't perform. Her best races so far have been optional claimers, which she's been on Lasix every single time. The number 2 is Raindrops on Roses for Pat Huffman. We have the longest boards on the odd here at 30-1 odd. She broke her maiden last summer with a 52 buyer. Didn't win again for another year, and that was at Ellis Park last month in an allowance race. I'm just going to pass altogether. The number 3 is Hidden Connection for Brett Calhoun. If you all remember, she was in the Kentucky Oaks in 2022. She was the one that was talked about a lot because she was beat out by a nose by Echo Zulu. Echo Zulu won. She got 2nd in the Fairground Oaks. However, she didn't really do too well in that race. Then she took some time off, went into some optional claimers, and they've been trying to get a win in these stakes races since January, and she's just kind of came up empty. She's gotten some decent seconds. I mean, she was in 3.5 lengths behind Search Results in the distaff, but Search Results didn't really do anything in the distaff, so she could just be a bridesmaid again. I just don't think that she's going to win this race. The number 4 is Ovra. I'm probably saying that wrong. For Chris Block, the first one for Chris Block, he has 2 in here. She has won 4 times in a row. She's looking for a 5th win. Her latest win was at Keeneland last month, where she beat out Sweet Danny Girl. She's gotten some consistent buyers in the 80s and 90s. She even had some decent numbers being off of Lasix. Now, she won at Kentucky Downs on the turf, won at Keeneland on the turf. This one's not on the turf. But if you look at her past performances, her best buyers have been on the dirt. Now, she hasn't ran on the dirt since July, and that was at Hawthorne and ungraded stakes. But looking at the times, they're still pretty decent. I think that she could make an impact on this race, especially with this early speed that she does have. The number 5 is She Can't Sing, who is the second for Chris Block in here. I think this one is the not-so-talented one out of the duo. She's only won 8 out of her 38 races. Now, I say that, but at the same time, this horse somehow pulled it off and won the Chilukki last year, so she is the reigning champion. She also keeps the same jockey with Brian Hernandez. I mean, she hasn't won since then. Her workouts look not great. I just don't see it happening again, but who knows? It's Churchill Downs. The number 6 is Braganza, who just got 5th in a turf race at Keeneland behind the number 4 horse. That was her first time on the turf, and she clearly just didn't really like it. Before that, she was doing decent, won 2 allowance races. She won by multiple lengths, getting paired buyers of 87. Now, it doesn't look like this horse has ever raced without Lasix, so that could play into her performance a little bit. She would want a stalking trip during this race, but I think a lot of these horses are going to want that, and I just don't know if her speed is as fast as some of these other horses. The number 7 is Falconet for Todd Pletcher. Her last race was the Locust Grove at Churchill in September, where she got 7th place. She earned a 77 buyer. Before that, she won with a 90 buyer, being able to stalk the pace and make a move in the stretch. Looking at her past performances, though, it looks like she has to be very close to the pace in order to win. And looking at the speed in this race, I don't think she's going to get a favorable pace for her because when she was against speed like Search Results, she was way off the pace and did terrible. Now, the number 8 is Be Like Water for Victoria Oliver. Last 2 races were at Keeneland. They weren't very good at all. 50 buyers and a 60 buyer on an optional claimer. She's been against some of these horses. She didn't come close, and not to mention she hasn't won since last August. I'm just going to pass altogether. Now, the last horse is the number 9, Hot and Sultry for Norm Cassie. I want to mention that this horse has been in some very tough races this year, including the Azeri, the Apple Blossom. Both were against Secret Oath and Clairiere. Both of those races she earned mid-90 buyers. Then she raced on Derby Day this year against Goodnight Olive, Monterey, Wicked Halo. She didn't completely embarrass herself, but that was the last time we saw her, and that was over 6 months ago. But looking at her workouts, she looks like she's on an absolute tear, not to mention Norm is 50% at this meet. He must have the secret to win at Churchill because even Cox and Pletcher aren't doing that well there. So do with that as you will. But she has a lot of early speed comparable to a couple others in here. But she is all the way on the outside, so that could play into this a little bit. So with all of that said, I just can't look past the number 9 right now. She has the speed. She has the class. She has the fast workouts leading up to this. She has Norm Cassie. I think that she is going to tuck right behind Hidden Connection and Ubra. Now, I hate betting chalk. I know she's not the favorite right now, but I think come post time on Saturday, she's going to be the favorite. So let's try to make some money underneath. Underneath an exacta box, we're going to add in the 7 and the 4. So that's going to be a 479 exacta box. Just for fun, in a trifecta, let's add in She Can't Sing. In case this is just her race, she's going to win it again. That would be a 4579 try box. Now, if you want to play a super, you have to add in Hidden Connection defensively. I just don't think that she's going to have a great race. But thanks for tuning into the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of these videos. Until next week, guys, good luck.